Meirowitz, who is a professor at the State University of New York Maritime College and a foreign policy analyst. Thanks so much for your time. Now, firstly, Donald Trump has been desperately trying to repair relations with Turkey, despite pushback from Congress and NATO allies. How might this particular bill jeopardise the relationship with Turkey if it did pass?
Well, Right. The first thing I would say is, what is the likelihood that the Senate resolution is going to pass? I think there's a large likelihood that it will. And the reason is as follows. First of all, as you pointed out, this is the third time the White House has asked the Senate to block this. And the purpose of it, of what they're trying to do, is what is called a unanimous consent resolution, which means it passes if no one blocks it. So Lindsey Graham already has been on board, Senator Perdue, Senator Kramer. The co-sponsors are very powerful senators, Senator Cruz and Senator Menendez. These are very powerful senators. I should point out that Senator Cruz is one of the senators who was present at the meeting in the White House with President Trump, with President Erdogan. Here's the point. You talked about impeachment earlier in the broadcast, and that's really the key to this whole conundrum. President Trump is trying to maintain the relationship with Turkey, which is what he has stated he wants to do. He's made very, very strong statements in favor of the relationship with Turkey, but the Congress is not necessarily on board. And why is it that the Congress is not listening to President Trump? And that's because of this whole impeachment issue. The senators now are emboldened because the senators have the key to Trump's future. The House can impeach President Trump, but his future lies in the Senate. So the senators are now emboldened. And you might end up with a bipartisan resolution on Armenia. By the way, when you mentioned that the resolution passed in the House in October, it actually passed on October 29th, which was Turkish Republic Day, which was really kind of a very big insult to the Turkish people, I think, and to the Turkish Republic. So Congress has a very fraught and difficult relationship with Turkey right now, but the president is trying to mend that and patch that up. It's going to be very hard for Trump to do that in light of all of the confusion and all of the distraction from impeachment, I think.
Now, this is the third senator that's blocked this vote. Now, if it's correct in what Ted Cruz is saying, that he was blocked or directed by the White House to block the vote, is it that Republicans are unable to hold autonomy in these votes and that they feel that they're at the knees of the president to sort of do as they're asked?
No, quite the contrary, and I think you meant Senator Kramer, not Senator Cruz, because Senator Cruz is the one who introduced the bill and wants it to pass. The problem is that each time these senators block the resolution, that Senator Kramer and Senator Graham, Graham said, I'll block it, but that's because President Erdogan is in Washington. But once he leaves, I'm not committed to block it. Senator Kramer said, I believe he was quoted as saying, I'll block it now, but I'm not going to block it if it comes up again. And that's problematic. So the answer is really quite the opposite. The senators don't feel beholden to the president on this issue. Usually, senators and congressmen defer to the president and the executive branch on foreign policy. And frankly, this is really about foreign policy. This resolution on Armenia, really tied to the sanctions resolution in the House, is all about the relationship with Turkey, which right now the Congress is very critical of Turkey, and it's a very problematic relationship, and particularly tying it into the S-400 and the F-35. All of this is interrelated. This is a very symbolic resolution, but at the end of the day, the senators are feeling much stronger and much more powerful to do what they feel they want to do. You saw this in the House with a very large vote on the part of the Republicans, which is surprising, but it was bipartisan. You're seeing the same thing in the Senate, and why is that? Because Trump is weakened by impeachment, and that is the reason why these senators are being a bit more powerful and more empowered in order to do this. So I'm going to be very mildly pessimistic about this and be concerned that they might end up passing it. I think that the reaction in Turkey should not be overwrought and overstated because, again, it's the Congress passing a resolution. I would say another point. The president each year in April makes a statement on Armenia, and every year Obama, Trump, even Trump in April 2019 made a statement on Armenia, but doesn't use the term genocide. This resolution used the term genocide. In those presidential statements, the term Medzia Kern was used, which is the effort not to use the word genocide. So I think that there are a lot of issues with this that are more profound, but at the end of the day, in the Congress, I think they're just going to do what they want to do, and they're not going to pay attention to Trump because of Trump's problems with impeachment. That's kind of the way I see it, but I hope it's not true. I hope what I say isn't going to come true, but I'm afraid that it may actually happen, and the unanimous consent will go through because two powerful senators are supporting this, and the other senators are saying, I'll block it, but next time I won't. I mean, that doesn't sound like a very strong support of President Trump, who's trying to patch up the relationship with Turkey. So there's a lot of factors going on here, and I think the domestic politics factor is the key thing that's moving this train along, I believe.
And it will be interesting to see if this bill does pass, how it might affect the relationship with Turkey as well. Okay, we'll have to leave it there for the time being. Thanks very much for that, Mark. Mark Meirowitz there for us in New York.